What is up, Breaking Bad fans? Kino here, and we are back with another Breaking Bad log. Today we're looking at the 8th episode of the 4th season, Hermanos. We open the episode with a flashback to the events of I See You. After the death of Lionel, Gus goes to visit Hector Salamanca. Gus tells him about the death of the cousins and Juan Bolsa, taking a sadistic joy in his suffering. He says that this is what comes of the blood for blood philosophy of the cartel, and it's implied that they have a bloody history, which we will learn about later this episode. Back in the present, Walt gets ready for his latest scans. There's another guy in the waiting room who tries to talk to him about his problems. Walt is dismissive of his feelings, though, telling him to never give up control of his life, even in the face of death. While I agree with Walt's sentiment, it's clear from the show that he takes this idea way too far, and it ends up destroying his life. Later, the DEA and the APD bring in Gus for questioning about Gale's death. Gus has a detailed and believable story for his fingerprints in Gale's apartment. The story makes perfect sense given what the police know about Gale, showing Gus's incredible attention to detail. Hank, however, sees through the perfect responses, and goes further by questioning why there are no records of Gus Fring from Chile, his home country. Gus says that it's because of poor record keeping, but we can see that the question was unexpected and threw him for a loop. Gus's story satisfies the DEA, who are inclined to think that he's innocent because of his relationship with law enforcement. Hank, however, isn't satisfied, wondering why Gus wouldn't bring up any of this info before now. Meanwhile, Saul visits Andrea and Brock in their new home, delivering money from Jesse. Jesse is waiting in the car, and Saul advises him to check in on them himself if he cares about them. This is one of the rare moments we see Jimmy McGill instead of Saul Goodman, and it's a moment of humanity and compassion from him that we don't normally see.
And there were a few times in the course of the Breaking Bad story where he showed a deeper dimension. And then he goes and tells Jesse, you should go in and talk to them. And he kind of insists that you should. Now that's not Saul talking, that's James McGill, because there is nothing in there for Saul. And so that's a moment where you see this other character peek through.
Back at the White residence, Skyler is trying to find a place to hide the money. She eventually stores it in vacuum-sealed clothing bags underneath the house. Fun fact, the first item she covers the money with is the pink sweater that Walt was wearing in the second season. Later, at a family dinner, Walt informs the family that he's still in remission. Hank then asks Walt to drive him to a gem and mineral show the next day. Walt agrees, but while they're driving, Hank admits that there is no show. He has Walt pull into Los Pollos Hermanos and asks for his help in bugging Gus's car. Though Walt is extremely nervous with Mike openly watching them from the next car, he pretends to plant the bug. He then goes inside the restaurant where he sees Gus in person for the first time since Box Cutter. He shows him the bug, and Gus instructs him to do what Hank wants and plant the bug.
Do it. Do it.
Do it! Just do it!
After they're done, Walt runs to the lab to talk to the camera. He insists that Hank has no evidence and then promises to keep him away from the truth in order to keep Hank alive. Walt then goes to see Jesse and tells him about what happened. He insists that they need to kill Gus now, before Hank finds any evidence that could lead back to them. Jesse says that no meetings with Gus have been scheduled, and then goes to the bathroom. While he's gone, Walt sees a text message on his phone from Mike about a canceled meeting with Gus. Walt then nonchalantly asks him about the text, and when Jesse lies about it, Walt knows that he's not telling him the truth anymore. The next day, Mike calls Gus with an update. He's done some digging and learned that no one besides Hank is investigating Gus. However, he says that the situation with the cartel could be the perfect storm, if they happen to make a move against them while Hank is watching. Gus is left to ponder on what to do about this situation. He then removes the tracker from his car so he can go and visit Hector without being detected. He tells him that Hank is looking into his past, and then we get another flashback, this time to 1989. Gus and his partner Max are waiting for a meeting with Don Eladio, the boss of the Mexican cartel. Hector Salamanca arrives, still able to walk at this point, alongside Juan Bolsa. Hector shows immediate hostility against them from the second he arrives. When Don Eladio arrives, they discuss their business proposal. They believe that meth is the drug of the future, as it is fully synthetic and able to be produced anywhere. They propose a partnership with the cartel for distribution. However, Don Eladio is unhappy with the disrespectful way Gus has been distributing drugs in his territory through their restaurant. Max pleads for his partner's life, but Hector shoots him in the head on Eladio's orders. They force Gus to look at his partner's corpse, telling him that the only reason he isn't dead is because they know who he really is. This was alluded to back in another flashback in Season 3. Back in the present, Gus tells Hector to look at him, a mirror of what Hector did to him with Max. Hector refuses, and Gus, satisfied with this torment, leaves him to fume alone. The title of the episode, Hermanos, is the Spanish word for brothers.
Hermano is brother in Spanish. As in, hey, hermano.
Well, sounds like Hermano is about to get his ass kicked.
It refers to Gus and Max, who are lifelong partners and blood brothers, and also their restaurant, Los Pollos Hermanos. I'll talk about this more in a future Gus video, but it's implied that Gus and Max are lovers, and Gus's motivation all this time may have been to avenge Max's death at the hands of the cartel. Both Vince Gilligan and Giancarlo Esposito have said that that's their interpretation of the character, but it was left unconfirmed in order to leave his backstory more mysterious. The character Max was named after Maximino Arciniega, the actor who plays Crazy 8. Also, Stephen Bauer, who plays Eladio, and Mark Margolis, who plays Hector, both also appear in Scarface, which, as I've stated before, has a lot of similar themes and connections to this show. And that's pretty much everything I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next Breaking Bad log, coming soon. Thanks for watching, mon frères. Russell, Sean, Heart of Markness, Logan, Clean, John Reyna, Jesse Sterling, Andrew Stewart, Ops Racing Media, Daz J. Kit, Conan Higgins, Sam Cedarlin, Don Lucania, Celery Man, Jenna Marie Johnson, and Brad Smith Studios.